Good morning, wrestling fans. Today is Friday, August 9th, 2024. And unfortunately, we started off this Friday morning with some sad news in the world of professional wrestling, and that was the passing of Kevin Sullivan at 74 years old. Kevin Sullivan had a long career in the business, and if, like me, if you were a kid watching WCW 90s, you might know him mostly as the Taskmaster, but he had a long career before that, and which I have gone back and watched videos of on YouTube and heard stories of his career on the podcast that he had at one time, MSL and Sullivan, which he stopped doing that podcast quite a while ago. But if you can find some archived episodes, if they are still available, it was on the MLW radio network, and very good podcast. That was one of the ones I actually enjoyed listening to the most, just to hear the stories and different things from his career, either from his wrestling career or when he was booking in WCW. Like I said, if the archived episodes of the MSL and Sullivan podcast are still available, I would recommend going to listen to some of them. The news just came out a little bit ago this morning. I just saw it, unfortunately. And I know that he had been dealing with some issues around not too long ago, actually. It was revealed, I think I first heard Conrad Thompson mention it on Tony Schiavone's podcast, What Happened When, that he was involved in an accident in May, I believe, and definitely wasn't doing very good, financially. Set up a GoFundMe. Eric Bischoff, I know, even put up that painting he has in his office of the night Hogan was the third man and joined with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash up for auction, and was going to donate the money to Kevin Sullivan. That's how much he meant in the wrestling business. He had a great mind for professional wrestling. Booker for many years in WCW, and I would say maybe as far as a character goes, one of the ones he's might be most known for was, like I said earlier, the Taskmaster, that at the time he was trying to end Hulkamania, and the Dungeon of Doom. I'm sure most people remember that. I'm sure a lot of people laugh and joke about it, maybe call it a little silly now, but at the time when I was younger, I was into the storyline. A lot of people might, like I said, they talk about how silly it was, but I was into the storyline. I believe I was maybe 10 or 11 at the time watching WCW, still rooting for Hogan, and Kevin Sullivan brought in guys like Kamala, John Tenta as the Shark, and Brutus Beefcake at the time, the Zodiac. And it was just I don't know if business was really big at that time, but I remember it being a fun time. And the Falls Count Anywhere matches with Chris Benoit, I remember they brawled all the way into the ladies' room, the men's room. I remember being really surprised by that, because at the time in pro wrestling you didn't really see something like that, them not only just brawling through the stands, through the people and everything, but went into the corridors, into the bathroom. And that match was just, I remember loving the first one they had and the second one when they did it again. And I've already mentioned he was a long-time booker for WCW as well. And I know some people didn't necessarily get along with him too well with some of the ideas he had. But like I said, I always thought that he was a great mind for the business. And I mentioned also his podcast, MSL and Sullivan, on the MLW radio network a few years or so ago. I know it stopped. And unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to listen to his newer podcast. I know he started one on the ad-free shows network with Conrad Thompson. And like I said, unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to listen to that new podcast yet. But unfortunately, I have to wrap up now. I could probably talk more about the life and the career of Kevin Sullivan. And of course, the Varsity Club with Mike Rotunda. I don't know how I did an episode of Kevin Sullivan and not even mention that. And Rick Steiner, that's my fault. Maybe I should probably do another podcast talking more about him, because that's the only bad thing about Good Morning Wrestling fans. Don't have as much time. And there is definitely a lot you could say about Kevin Sullivan. He will definitely be missed in the wrestling business by fans for sure. And like I said, now that I'm thinking about it, I might do another podcast sometime. Not sure when just yet, but talk more about the career of Kevin Sullivan. Now you can go in the comment section if you have a favorite match or any favorite moments or memories of the career of Kevin Sullivan. You can leave them in the comment section, either right here on Spreaker, YouTube, or wherever else you listen to the podcast at. And thank you for listening, everyone. And I'll be back here tomorrow on Good Morning Wrestling Fans once again. And until then, rest in peace, Kevin Sullivan.